Places, everybody. And action.
It's time once again for the Hooked on Movies podcast. Today, we will be continuing the prequels with Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones from 2002. With me are Ted.
I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe.
That you are, Ted. And Ken.
Jedi business. Go back to your drains.
Right. You seem a little on edge, Ted. Are you?
Yes, I am. I am
know
very
you
on
are,
edge.
And we are talking the prequels, Episode 2. We're continuing in the series of 3 that we are doing, Attack of the Clones. Let's dive right into this. Ken, why don't you give us a synopsis?
Set 10 years after the events of the Phantom Menace, the Republic continues to be mired in strife and chaos. A separatist movement encompassing hundreds of planets and powerful corporate alliances poses new threats to the galaxy that even the Jedi cannot stand. These moves, long planned by a yet unrevealed, and powerful force, led to the beginning of the Clone Wars and the beginning of the end of the Republic. And that's the synopsis for Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Cool, thanks. Ted, why don't you give us the particulars?
Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Directed by George Lucas, with a screenplay by George Lucas and Jonathan Hales. It has a running time of 142 minutes, a release date of May 16, 2002, a budget of $115 million, a box office gross only of $653.8 million. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a critic score of 65%, but an audience score of 56%. IMDb rating is 6.6. So the critic score on Rotten Tomatoes is actually higher than The Phantom Menace, and the IMDb rating is right there with The Phantom Menace, which is kind of interesting. But the audience score is the one that took a real dip. And here again, because there's so many haters, audience score is one of those things that you can take or leave on this.
Well, good taste
on
does
Star Wars.
prevail.
True that. Attack of the Clones stars Ewan McGregor reprising his role as Obi-Wan Kenobi, Natalie Portman reprising her role as Padme Amidala, newcomer Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, Ian McDiarmid as Chancellor Palpatine / Darth Sidious, Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu, the incomparable Christopher Lee as Count Dooku, Darth Tyrannus, Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, Kenny Baker as R2-D2, Frank Oz as the voice of Yoda, newcomer Tamara Morrison as Jango Fett, Pernilla August as Shmi Skywalker, Daniel Logan as Boba Fett, Ahmed Best as Jar Jar Binks, Silas Carson as Newt Gunray, Jimmy Smits as Bail Organa, Oliver Ford Davies as Sio Bibble, Andy Seacombe as Watto, Jack Thompson as Klieg Lars, Joel Edgerton as Owen Lars, Bonnie Piesse as Baru Whitesun, Leanna Walsman as Zam Wessel, Jay Lagogia as Gregor Typho, Ronald Falk as the voice of Dexter Jetster, and kind of like Keira Knightley, another famous lady who played Padme's handmaiden, Dorme. That actor is Rose Byrne. You might know her from Pitch Perfect and other movies like that.
Pretty impressive cast there.
Yep. Some real actors.
Real live actors, is that what you're going to say?
Yeah, because everybody else seems to be CGI.
Yes. All right, Ken. This one had a lot of awards, good and bad, didn't it?
Yes, they had a lot of awards, mostly bad. The Academy Awards did nominate it for Best Visual Effects at the 2003 Academy Awards. Natalie Portman was also honored at the Teen Choice Awards, and the film received an award for Best Fight at the MTV Movie Awards. So you know if I have to go there, there's not much to say about this
You're
movie.
really digging the bottom of the barrel there. That's
Pretty much. In contrast, the film also received 7 nominations from the Golden Raspberry Awards for Worst Picture, Worst Director, George Lucas, Worst Screenplay, George Lucas, Worst Supporting Actor, Hayden Christensen, Worst Supporting Actress again, Natalie Portman, and Worst Screen Couple, Hayden and Natalie again.
Well, that they should win. Yeah.
And Worst Remake or Sequel. Actually, it did take home 2 awards, Worst Screenplay and Worst Supporting Actor for Hayden Christensen.
So he won a Razzie. Hey, nice job.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the first time we actually saw this movie. I'll get off because I honestly don't know. I really don't remember. It had to be on video. Yeah, right. I sure as hell did not see it in the theater. That I can tell you. Sometime on video. That's all I can tell you. I see Ted seeing it in the theater.
You are correct.
Shocking.
Actually, I think I saw this movie probably 4 or 5 times in the movie theater.
And what character did you dress up as?
I did not dress up.
I still don't believe you. I still
said
don't
that
believe
before.
You're double for Natalie Portman any day.
No, clearly.
Yeah,
it's like looking in a mirror.
Yeah, exactly. So I saw it opening night, and then I saw it the next day, trying to convince myself that it was good.
20 years later, you still trying to convince himself.
And then the third time he saw it, he was high, and then the fourth time he was drunk, and it still didn't help.
Yeah.
I was hung upside down one time.
Right.
Yeah. I will say the most interesting time that I saw the movie, they released it in a limited release on IMAX. But this was the old IMAX before IMAX went digital, where they had the reels, and the reels could only run a little bit over 2 hours. Otherwise, the machine would overheat. So they had to make cuts to the movie. And the cuts that they made to this movie were most of the romantic scenes. It actually bettered the movie by a lot. And it was really cool to see it in IMAX. I mean, there's still problems, but a lot of the bad scenes were cut out. It was actually pretty decent. It was, like I said, it was neat to see it in IMAX.
And I know, Ken, you have a very interesting scenario. Whether or not you want to go into detail about it is your call.
I had a friend who would provide movies at a special rate, especially for movies that had not yet been released yet. And so I was given a copy of Attack of the Clones before it came out with some still green screen in some of the scenes. So some of the scenes hadn't finished putting the special effects on. One scene that I could remember is the scene where they're protecting the senator, and in the background you should see the city.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was all green screen. So I might still have it somewhere.
I'm kind of hoping you do, because that would probably be a better version than the one they released.
No, not by
Fill
much.
in your own city.
Not by much. And I'm sure the statute of limitations are up from having a legal copy.
The copyright infringement laws.
So I had a movie like that. There was for that, and I had it also for Signs.
Oh, look, he's double incriminating himself now.
Yeah.
Signs. Yeah.
I didn't know what I was getting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I swear.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I went to see it opening weekend. I didn't see it opening night because I learned my lesson the first time.
And who did you dress up as?
I also dressed up as Natalie Portman.
Of course.
I'm also splitting a show too.
Yeah. Actually, it's a pretty interesting way to see the movie. I mean, I too have partaken in some of the illegal copies of movies here and there, but it's never been the first time I've ever seen the movie. It's always been after the fact. But kind of cool. All right. Well, let's get into the plot. We'll look at part 1 of Attack of the Clones.
10 years after the Battle of Naboo, the Galactic Republic is threatened by a separatist movement organized by former Jedi Master Count Dooku. Former Queen-turned-Senator Padme travels to Coruscant to vote against the motion to create an army to assist the Jedi against the growing threat. Avoiding an assassination attempt on arrival, she is placed under the protection of the Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi and his Padawan apprentice, Anakin Skywalker. The pair throw out a second assassination attempt on Padme and subdue the assassin, whose employer is a bounty hunter, but he kills her before she reveals his identity. The Jedi Council instructs Obi-Wan to find the bounty hunter, while Anakin is tasked to protect Padme and escort her to Naboo. Despite the Jedi code that forbids attachments, the two fall in love. Obi-Wan's search leads to Kamino, an ocean planet. There he discovers a clone army is being produced for the Republic under the name of Saphidius, a deceased Jedi Master. The bounty hunter, Jango Fett, serves as a genetic template. Obi-Wan deduces Jango is the bounty hunter he is seeking and places a homing beacon on his ship. He then follows Jango and his clone son, Boba Fett, to the planet Geonosis. And that's the end of part 1.
How about that? Even in the future, things are made overseas.
before we really get here into the plot, there's 2 movies going on here.
Really?
And yeah, there's
Why does
There's
it
a
feel like
good-
I haven't seen one of them yet?
there's 2 movies, and one of them works really well, and the other one doesn't. Kind of where everything splits off. The first part of this movie is actually pretty good. You
Obi-Wan
have
PI.
exactly yes, Inspector Obi-Wan. It's really cool. It's a really good idea for a movie. Them trying to figure out how this is all going to unravel, and him going to Camino, trying to figure out who Jango Fett is. There are some clunky parts. I'm not a real big fan of the chase scene through Coruscant, but that is what it is.
Is that where he's hanging on the little
Yes.
assassin thing? Yeah, that was kind of stupid.
Would have been
Um,
cooler
not-
if it was Anakin that did it.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but compared to other things in the movie, it's tolerable.
Academy Award winning. Great for us, though.
Or at least,
Nominated.
at least Raspberry Award winning. And we get a good sense for how far Anakin has come as far as his Jedi powers. He can view things that are in the other room. Here again, problems are the dialogue. This is the thing that ruins this movie. Just like we talked about in The Phantom Menace. The dialogue here is so stunted, and I will repeat it again. George Lucas does not know how human beings talk and interact with each other.
Or in
He
the
just
future.
doesn't.
Or
He just
currently.
doesn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
he just doesn't. He cannot write for anything. He needed somebody. I'm not saying you need somebody the quality of a Tarantino or a Kevin Smith or somebody who knows how human beings talk.
Or kind of bosses.
I mean, just having somebody to know how human beings interact with each other and
It's
how
it's the common thread between these 3 movies where
Right.
no one will say no to George and he just
Right.
goes wild, and you can see it.
yeah.
Common thread for all of them.
But there are parts of here that are really, really interesting, and the 4K transfer is actually not too bad. Here's the biggest problem with the 4K transfer. It highlights a lot when the CGI has to interact with the human beings. And you can tell that the human beings are not directed in a way to not look like that they're talking to somebody like ping pong balls. The designs of some of the ships are really cool. I mean,
They are. You're right. I noticed that in the starting scene, Padme's ship, that silver ship, is really cool looking. It really,
the B-52.
it really kind of stands out. I'm like, okay,
B-52s were in this movie? Wow.
yeah,
awesome. The
I know.
B-52
It would have made it
bombers, yeah.
better, right?
Yeah.
But I noticed that ship. I'm like, okay, this is cool. This is a good start. I like that.
I know people had a problem, and I have a problem with how they use C-3PO, but the gray finish, back when the original Star Wars was produced in the 70s and 80s, a man by the name of Ralph McQuarrie did a lot of the artistic interpretations of what Lucas wanted. The look of C-3PO is how the original C-3PO from the Ralph McQuarrie drawings looked. And George recycled and used a lot of Ralph McQuarrie's art in Attack of the Clones and for the different ships and things like that, which is kind of cool. And the whole idea for Geonosis and everything, a lot of that comes from the McQuarrie art, which is kind of cool.
I guess. I don't know. I'm used to the
No, it's-
gold-plated one.
Yeah, no, but he hadn't gotten completely finished yet. But it's kind of
Who
neat.
Who finished him up to that point anyway? And I know we're jumping
Well,
way ahead here because that's part 2
That's
of this
part
movie.
3.
But
Yeah, I mean, he gets the gold in part 3.
he went from episode 1 to having no outer shell to episode 2 having a shell.
Oh,
And-
well,
And he didn't put it together. So who
Well-
put them together?
I'm assuming that Watto probably hired somebody that put whatever.
Yeah, it is whatever. That's
is
what
what
I
it
think
is.
about this movie. It's whatever. I mean, right off the bat of this movie, when we start off this movie with the assassination attempt, you have like the security guard going, well, I guess because I was wrong about the threat, and then boom. Okay,
yeah,
I
right,
mean,
yeah.
how pathetic do we get starting in this movie? I mean, the explosion and all that is great, but do we have to have the stupid line before that to set everything up? And
did you really think the explosion was great? I thought the explosion was pretty cheesy.
No, I think it was pretty good. I liked it. I just didn't like the line before that made you go, okay, that means something bad's going to happen. And it takes away from the explosion because it's such a stupid line. And it's not even delivered well. It's delivered very cheesy like.
Like he's reading cue cards.
Yeah. No direction from the director there to get a better take on that.
George Lucas is like, perfect. Yes, that's what I wanted. That's the other problem we talked about in episode 1. It's one take George. Okay, it's basically that was good enough. Let's move on. It's the opposite of Kubrick. I'd rather just do one take and just move on. But it sets the tone for the rest of the movie for me. This was a pretty bad explosion. I mean, not bad in like how Eric thinks it's bad. It's an explosion that should destroy a lot of things. It should have blew the whole ship up. But apparently,
for some reason, the decoy is still alive to say that she's sorry that she let her down. What do you mean you let her down? You died for her. You just freaking died for her. How did you let her down?
Yeah. The dialogue is absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, Jimmy Smits can't even save the dialogue.
They didn't give him much to try with. They gave him like a couple of lines, and that was basically it. And then it gets worse because then you throw in Anakin. Anakin is sitting there like a puppy dog with his tail wagging and his tongue out. And he can't get 2 words together. And I know that he's trying to make him nervous, and I understand that. But there was nothing in between episode 1 to episode 2 that made us think that he should be like this. Yes, he thought she was angel-like, but he never was gaga over her when he was a little boy, because he keeps on saying stuff like, I've been thinking about you every day since we last met.
Right.
Stalker.
Well, some of the looks that he gives her? Like when she tells him, like, don't look at me like that. And then he kind of got that silly grin and that look. It's disturbing. And I understand it's supposed to be. Right. It's supposed to be disturbing, but it's not supposed to be like that.
Oh, that'd be great if Ted Bundy was in this movie.
I know, right?
No, I don't know.
People off.
Yeah.
Hey, anyone seen Doku? Where is he?
A little overkill. Get it? Overkill.
Yeah.
The lines that he is saying, it's like, it's all about growing up. Oh, you've grown up so a lot since I last saw you, and it's like, well, you've been, you're pretty beautiful for a senator.
What is that? You're pretty beautiful for a senator. Like what?
Yeah, it's just going back and forth.
So stupid.
And again, it comes back to the age differences that we talked about in episode 1. There is no reason to have them so far apart in episode 1. If you establish some type of romantic, bonding in episode 1. Then it could carry over to episode 2. And then you could say, 10 years of him thinking about her, you kind of get it a little bit.
How about a little flashback scene here and there, maybe, or something?
I mean, when we leave them in episode 1, he's thinking more about his mother, not about her.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're not prepared for this right off the bat. If he sees her at first and they joke around, and then they realize there's some type of attraction after they joke around and stuff, then that's okay. They come right off and say, I've been thinking about you every day for the last 10 years. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way.
No, you're completely correct. And this is where the second part of the movie doesn't work. And this is where the movie falls short. The second movie that's running parallel here is probably the more important movie. The movement towards the fall of Anakin to Darth Vader. I like the idea that it's the loss of love that causes him to become Darth Vader. It's a really cool and really tragic story. Like I said before, when
it started with his mother, didn't it? Really, that's where it really all kicked out. Yeah.
Yes, he loses his mom. He's separated from his mother. She's not freed. She's still a slave, and he has to leave, and that screws him up.
Right. Strike one.
Then we have the establishment of his one true love. The story's there, and I'll say that there is something Shakespearean about this. You can see where he's going with this, taking from older stories. I mean, the final scene of the movie of them getting married in secret by, that's totally Romeo and Juliet. It's even set in Italy. They actually filmed it in Italy, at a villa in Italy.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about
and
that?
it's,
How about that?
here again, they never have that spark. And that's the director's problem. That is where he's not fostering this connection that has to be there. And we have to believe that these two are inseparable, that they're star-crossed lovers, that their souls are connected, and that this is the future of the downfall. Because we know right now, anybody who went into this movie that was a Star Wars fan knows now that Padme and Anakin are Luke and Leia's mom and dad.
No.
Everybody knew that.
She was dressing like Leia in this one. Did you notice that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Had the buns and everything.
Yeah.
Yep. And she wears white at the end in the Coliseum scenes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. There's just no spark there. The only time that they have spark is when they're before they're being led into the Coliseum. But by that point, so much damage had been done by lack of direction and dialogue.
Well,
I don't know.
I think the biggest problem here is course corrections. There's too many course corrections throughout this because of the mistakes he made in episode 1 and how he started this all off. And then you come in episode 2, you're trying to bridge that age gap and you're kind of rushing everything together. She goes from basically rejecting him hard, like, you're creeping me out here, to undying love within like a week time frame. And he doesn't do anything in that week to really win her over. So I don't understand how she turns. And I got one word for the Jedi Order. And they don't want this to happen again. And that one word is eunuchs. That's as simple as that. Eunuchs. Snip, snip. Be done with it. And they don't have any romantic relationships because they won't have the pieces for it to work.
Okay, well.
That's just a personal opinion for you Jedi Masters out there.
Anakin takes care of the younglings in the next movie, so it's all okay.
But he doesn't take care of them all. We see that some get away, I guess, later on in the other movies. But like you said, we understand where he's going with this. But the problem is he doesn't connect the dots. And then he forgoes what he's already done in the original trilogy. He's kind of rewriting history as he goes along here. He's trying to make, like, square pegs spin round holes. And sometimes he succeeds in making it work, but sometimes he doesn't. But what does work, like you said, is, Magnum P.I. here, Obi-Wan Kenobi, doing his thing. I mean, him trying to find out who this assassin is good stuff. I mean, there are some questionable things, dialogue here that, between him and Jango Fett. And I'm sorry, his son, Boba Fett, I almost want to turn off the movie by listening to this kid talk. It's really bad. Go get him, Dad. Yeah. Yeah, that's fire. Bad. Yeah. Not exaggerating. How I just performed it there is exactly how it is in the movie.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's
really bad. It's very, very, very gearing towards the children on that one.
And I know this is second half stuff, but when he holds his dad's helmet in his hands, I just wish his dad's head fell out of a bit, and then we could have just saw his reaction to that.
Well, there's a debate as to when the head really fell out, but you're right. He's bad, and here again,
he should have got the Raspberry Award. I'm sorry. I mean, he makes
Jake Lloyd.
Jake Lloyd's performance look Shakespearean. Why couldn't he find children that could act? Even when Yoda,
why can't he give them direction?
Or even when Yoda asked the kids, the younglings, why is this planet missing? We get this little offended with, it's like, give me some kid actors that could actually act. Stop making these kids the poster boys for bullying. Because that's all you're setting them up for, is to be bullied in school.
Wow, yeah.
That's an interesting interpretation. Yeah, okay.
A lot of people have a big problem with Dexter Jetster.
The name alone, Dexter.
Yeah,
Jetster.
the name sucks, but I don't have a real problem with that. I do kind of have a problem that his diner is like a 50s diner, because I don't really want our world here transferring over into Star Wars world. There's that diner feel.
It's so out of place too. It's
that's
like
what
it's
I'm
always
saying.
been there. I mean,
Right.
we're in outer space here.
The diner thing doesn't work.
I was just waiting for the guys from Spaceballs to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and order
little Van
order
Halen
the
music in
special.
the background there. Yeah.
How he and Obi-Wan know each other.
It's all part of that PI thing. You always have to have a PI who has a friend that used to do something bad, and now owns a legit business. I mean, it's kind of
like an informant for information wherever you need something.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like Snoop Dogg and Starsky and Hutch.
Starsky and Hutch, playing Huggy Bear.
Yeah.
That's a great role. That's a good callback, too. But there are so many things here. And I know, Eric, you had said that you really liked the Kaminoans. And,
yes.
And the reason that you like the Kaminoans is because Lucas didn't know how to portray them. And so he reached out to Spielberg, and Spielberg convinced him to go with the more traditional alien look. And they are very reminiscent of the aliens from Close Encounters of a Third Kind.
It's not weird, though, that these guys will let a Jedi show up and look over this clone army. Yeah. They've only been expecting you. Oh, it's been 10 years.
Right.
We've been expecting you for 10 years.
Well, you would have. I think that the mindset is, we were hoping that somebody would come back and check on us.
But even Obi-Wan, the way he questions everything, they should have figured it out. Since they're
he doesn't know shit about it. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's not like they're idiots. They know how to clone people. They're smart aliens.
Yeah.
And you're playing them off as being the stupidest aliens on any universe. Obi-Wan has no clue. He just doesn't know what's going on. And he even says it from time to time. A lot of this stuff just doesn't connect from point A to point B to point C.
Yeah, it goes everywhere.
I can forgive a lot of this stuff with the investigation that Obi-Wan does and stuff, because it's actually interesting. And that's the best part of the movie. It's the thing that keeps your interest. I actually even like the whole idea of Zam Wesell's bounty hunter character. I almost kind of wish that character didn't get killed. I understand why they have to be killed, but it's kind of a cool character, that an alien that can change like that. That's pretty cool. I dig it. I really do. Because, with any sort of private investigation type movie, there's always some jumps in logic that you have to take. And like you said, Ken, some of the dialogue is clunky, but we know that that's going to happen.
But it's not as bad as the Jedi Council. Talk about the idiots who run the asylum. For somebody like Yoda, who we've been led to believe to be the greatest Jedi ever, seems to have no clue about anything. Even when he's really close
to Palpatine.
Yeah, when he's close to Palpatine, he doesn't sense that he's a dark Sith. He recognizes it with Christopher Lee's character. Oh, I sense the dark side in you, but he can't figure it out with the guy who's the greatest threat.
A little bit more explanation from Darth Sidious as to how he's put this cloak over the Jedi Council and how he's shielding their vision of everything. A little bit more background into that would have went a long, long way. Because you're right, it does sell them out. And
they sell themselves out.
It makes them look. It makes them look. No, I'm saying the writing sells them out. It makes them look foolish.
And later on, when Yoda and Samuel Jackson are going back and forth, and they're like, "We should inform the Senate of our loss of being able to use the Force." What the hell?
Yeah,
you are just admitting that you guys don't have what it takes any longer, and you're going to tell everybody. Wait one second before we do that.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, but it's stupid. These are stupid lines. They just don't make sense.
A little explanation as to how that portion of Sidious's plan a long way here. And that could have easily have been incorporated into episode 1 or what Obi-Wan finds in his interactions with Count Dooku.
You got Christopher Lee in this movie. Great idea. Why not have him in the last movie? Why not have him have interactions with Qui-Gon? Because he says Qui-Gon would have supported him on this.
Right.
Why not have that discussion in that one so we can have a little bit of a build-up going to episode 2 so we have some explanation? Because we have a lot of dead air over in episode 1. George Lucas, who says that he had this all written out before.
He did.
He didn't. I know, but I'm just
the actual script for this. The actual script of this movie wasn't completed until a week before production started.
That doesn't surprise me one either.
And then we'll talk about the other guy who wrote some stuff, because there's some eerie similarities. Because the other guy who wrote on this was one of Lucas's writers on the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. And if you look at some of the Geonosis stuff, there's some real Indiana Jones type of stuff going on there. And this wasn't completed until a week before production because Lucas didn't know what to do. Lucas is trying to get a little bit too political insofar as he's trying to bring history into this and create Palpatine as Hitler. So that's why you have Jar Jar giving, emergency powers to the Chancellor, which is what Hitler did. Some of that stuff comes off heavy-handed, especially because the dialogue is so clunky and not good.
I feel like it's not just the dialogue, it's even how he's playing everything out. He's trying to throw so much in, and like you said, not explaining anything, and we're kind of left with our heads spinning a little bit. And maybe that's his design, but you want to either...
I don't think so.
Either you want to keep your audience in the dark for a big reveal, or you want them to know everything. You don't want to play this in the middle type of deal, which I think he's doing over. Because we don't even know what Count Dooku, what side he's on. Because at one time he's talking one way, and another way he's talking another. It's clumsy.
Yes.
Very much so. It's clumsy, as Jar Jar said in episode 1, for being clumsy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we don't even really get any idea who Count Dooku is until Yoda says that he was his Padawan. Guess we're building towards the reveal at the very tip of the end of the movie, where Sidious calls him Lord Tyrannus. Don't we really know that Count Dooku is a Sith? He uses Force lightning. He has a red lightsaber. Come on now.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. At the beginning of the movie, they're like, no, he's a Jedi, so he can't be bad. I mean, like they'd never had a bad Jedi before, and somebody who turned to the dark side. Stupid direction. It's not just the dialogue, it's how you're presenting things. But it seems like you backtrack on certain things, and then you try to move forward. Like Eric said, I think a little bit earlier, it's all over the place, and it doesn't try to stick one thing and go with it.
Right.
And I like Obi-Wan here. I enjoy Obi-Wan, but he just happens to have a homing device on him to throw onto a ship. And then while he's following the ship, they use the explosives that basically, I mean, these are massive explosives that they basically cause a shockwave that destroys almost anything in its path. And I didn't like it in the theater.
I didn't either.
When everything went silent, and then you had the boom. I don't know why, but it just bothered me. It still does.
It was awkward, and I remember in the movie theater thinking that it was way out of proportion sound-wise with the rest of the movie, too. It didn't really fit, and it was very, very overpowering in the movie theater, especially in IMAX. It's too bad that the romantic scenes are so clunky and bad, because the shots of the Italian villa and everything, when they're shooting there, my God, that's beautiful. And like I said before, the 4K transfer is really good. Some of those vistas are stunning. It just makes you wish that there was more realism into the romance, because holy crap, that place is, like I said, I can't give it enough enough plaudits. It's amazing. But it's just so heavy-handed and so stupid. No chemistry.
I'm going to go Rick a little bit still on the Obi-Wan Jango Fett type of fight. Even though the fight's entertaining, you're
I
a
actually
Jedi.
like it.
I like it, but you're a Jedi. Shouldn't you be able to do some Force stuff to kind of like throw him across into the ship or something? I mean, he has these powers and he doesn't use the Force for any of it. It's all kind of street fighting, basically.
My only counter to that would be, isn't that more aggressive? And isn't that more of an attack? Whereas the Jedi are not supposed to use the Force for attack, where they're supposed to use it for defense and things like that. But I get what you're saying. That seems to be more of a Sith type of a thing, where kind of the cheaty way of fighting that even the Dooku uses at the end, and that Darth uses against Luke in Empire Strikes Back.
It doesn't stop them
I
from
like the fight though. The only part of the fight,
I do like the fight, but the problem
only
with
part
it
of
is
the fight that I don't like is the end and how Obi-Wan falls over the side, but then is able to swing himself
Right.
onto a lower deck. I don't like that, how that ends there.
I think my problem here is the way that you present the Jedi in the prequels. Is Jedi's with superpowers, the ability to leap tall
True.
buildings with single bound type of deal.
Or do
You know,
the force run in Phantom Menace, where they zoom out of the picture.
Yeah, I mean, it's those type of things, and then you don't use them in a fight like this because for whatever reason it doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I like the fight. Don't get me wrong. I'm just picking a fight here on this one because
oh yeah,
it's
no,
fun
I'm not
to
gonna
do
fight
so.
you.
No, I'm not picking a fight necessarily with you, but I'm picking a fight with George Lucas here on
Yeah.
the fact that he's just so inconsistent on when a Jedi can use his Force powers and when he can't. So
Right.
on that, I think it's important that we go to part 2.
Yes, I agree. Let's go to part 2.
So Anakin is troubled by visions of his mother in pain and returns to his homeworld on Tatooine with Padme to save her. His former owner, Watto, reveals that he sold his mom to a moisture farmer named Lars, who then freed and married her. Lars says that Tusken Raiders abducted his mom 1 month earlier and she's likely dead. Anakin finds her in that campsite. After she dies in his arms, he's enraged. Anakin then massacres the entire tribe, women, kids, little dogs, everyone. He later confesses his actions to Padme, who still sleeps with him, and vows to prevent the deaths of those who he loves. On Geonosis, Obi-Wan discovers a separatist gathering led by Count Dooku, who is developing a droid army with Trade Federation Viceroy Newt Gunray, who ordered the assassination attempt on Padme. Obi-Wan transmits his findings to the Jedi Council, but is captured by separatist droids. Dooku meets Obi-Wan in a cell and explains that the Republic is under the control of a Sith Lord, Darth Sidious. He begs Obi-Wan to help stop Sidious, but Obi-Wan refuses. Senator Representative Jar Jar Binks proposes a successful vote to grant emergency powers to Palpatine, allowing the clone army to be officially brought into action as the defense force of the Republic. Anakin and Padme head to Geonosis to rescue Obi-Wan. While in the droid factory, Anakin loses his lightsaber before Jango captures them. Dooku sentences the trio to be killed by alien beasts in the arena. Windu and the other Jedi suddenly arrive. Windu beheads Jango during the ensuing battle. Facing defeat, a battalion of clone troopers led by Yoda arrive. Obi-Wan and Anakin intercept Dooku and engage in a lightsaber duel. Dooku injures Obi-Wan and severs Anakin's right arm. Yoda intervenes and defends them. To distract Yoda, Dooku uses the Force to attempt to kill Anakin and Obi-Wan. Dooku escapes via the Solar Sailor to Coruscant and delivers the schematics for the superweapon to Sidious. As the Jedi acknowledge the beginning of the Clone Wars, Anakin is fitted with a cybernetic arm and secretly marries Padme on Naboo. And that's the end, thankfully, of the Attack of the Clones.
So there's a lot to unpack here. The thing that we really haven't touched on, Anakin is having these visions of his mother dying. I'm very cool and on board with that. Something else that he's going to lose that's going to advance him towards becoming Darth Vader.
It's an Empire Strikes Back kind of nod too, because
a little bit, yes,
Luke,
definitely.
It's Luke seeing his friends in trouble and leaving what he's supposed to be doing, and that's training him to become a Jedi.
Exactly, it's a mirror effect. Yeah, a lot of people believe that that's intentional. I don't like the fact that we have to go back to Tatooine, just because there are billions of planets in the galaxy. But okay, we'll go back to Tatooine. I'll even be on board with the fact that we go to see Watto, and Watto tells him where the Larses live. The introduction of Owen and Beru, I could have done completely without that. I mean, that's a complete setup, and it's just, okay, whatever. All we need to know is who Cliegg Lars is, because we know that he has a son, Owen. We don't need to see him. They don't add anything to this mix here. The problem occurs. I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna kind of contradict myself immediately. So when we find out that Anakin is gonna go searching for his mom, there's a couple of heavy-handed things that happen. One, Padme goes out and follows him, and the shadow of Anakin on the side of the Lars homestead, he looks like Darth Vader. And that's intentional. And the song that plays is Luke's song, the hero's song, where Luke's looking out at the twin suns setting at the beginning of Star Wars.
I never caught that.
Yeah, it's the exact thing. It's the French horn and everything, and we get just enough of it. It doesn't add up because you already see that anger and everything that's in Anakin that's bubbling up, and you know what. If he goes out to find his mom, that something bad's probably going to happen. I don't like that connection. It saves itself, though, because when he gets on the stupid speeder and that whole sequence is just completely done, is garbage. The whole thing of him traveling on the speeder is garbage, except for the music, because then we get the Duel of the Fates again. The sound moves from the Twin Sons hero song from Luke into the Duel of the Fates, which is really kind of cool. When he's on that speeder, that is one of the worst parts that was done digitally in the whole movie, because it's so obvious. It's so horrible.
Why don't you like him going to find his mother?
He can go find his mom, but that whole sequence then when he finds her, where she can't tell him that I love you, and she dies in his arms.
That sets up his rage, though. It's needed.
He can find her dead and get the same effect.
But no. Oh, hell no. No. Having your mother die in your arms, that's going to set you off like anything. Absolutely. I think that scene was very much needed.
It's needed, but I agree, though, that I love... she can say I love a couple 2 or 3 times, but she can't get the U out of her damn mouth.
Right.
Which, that's just ridiculous. That's what not even say it at all.
And I guess that this sets up his final turn at the end of Revenge of the Sith, where he kills all the younglings. Spoiler alert. I mean, I guess it's needed that he slaughters all of those people.
Christ, the battle me about it.
But hold on. One of the cool things is you have Qui-Gon in the background shouting out through the Force, Anakin, no. That's pretty cool as well. But that's all glossed over as well. The fact that Qui-Gon reaches out through the Force to him. Liam Neeson said he would come back. Why not utilize that?
Why not have him stop him there? He listens to him there, but it's still build up, because then you're led to him having to tell Padme about it, and Padme,
which is so stupid.
She doesn't react the way she should react.
No,
she is a character who is all about peace and love and fighting for what's right. and she's smart. And he called her,
Dirty little pig.
not only did I kill the men, I killed the women and the children, and it's not right because I'm a Jedi. And she's like, oh, it's okay. It's kind of like, I still love you.
Right.
It's not sex in the next scene.
And then he blames Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan.
Those do not compute. Those do not link up. Those Lego bricks do not connect.
If you're going to tell her that, then she needs to go to Obi-Wan there and then.
She needs to freak the fuck out.
But no, not only does she stay with them, she grows more in love with him.
Exactly. It doesn't add up.
It doesn't worry her one iota. And then in the next movie, when he kills all the younglings, she's like, I can't believe he would do such a thing. What the fuck are you talking about? You just killed a whole village full of people. You have precedence that he's capable of this.
Exactly.
That's why I think it would have been, I think I like your idea. I do think that Qui-Gon comes back, he stops him from doing it. Maybe he kills a couple of them.
Right.
And he goes,
the two guards.
No.
The two guards, yeah.
Exactly. Because we can take that. We can accept that. The two guards, because that's their job, is to protect the prisoner. But the other ones are innocent. You can make it look like he's getting ready to do something to them, but then Qui-Gon stops him.
Bingo.
That's the last time he's able to stop him. And then you have a much better third movie coming up.
Oh, yeah. It just is.
This is why I said at the beginning. This is why I needed to be on the writing, one of the writers on this film.
Somebody needed to have some sort of input to tell him that these two scenes that are back to back don't connect. The writing, it completely sells Padme out and makes her look weak.
It cuts her character in half.
If the person that you love comes to you and says that they killed an entire village, you're probably gonna.
I'm having second thoughts.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, oh, look at the time. I gotta go.
I got a thing.
I
gotta wash my hair.
Yeah,
wash my legs.
Yeah, exactly.
Shave my thumb. Stuff like that.
It's weird because even then, after she tries to comfort him there, then we immediately go to the funeral. It's kind of weird how they treat R2-D2. She's like, why are you out of the plane? Well, because he's got a message.
Why did your boyfriend just kill a bunch of people?
And the way she comes off, it comes off snarky. As a director, you hear that. You're like, no. That's not what we're looking for. And you never really get why C-3PO comes along with them.
These are not the lines we're looking for.
Right. Was C-3PO kind of like oh, hey, Anakin, we know your mom just died. So do you want your protocol droid back? Is that kind of what that was? Because C-3PO
ends up on the plane. The farm or anything, right? So
right.
Oh, and this is
in Star Wars. Why doesn't Owen know who C-3PO is?
Exactly. Again.
Oh, that's a good point. You're right.
Mind. Not only are the droids' minds wiped. So are the human beings.
Except for R2-D2. He's the only droid that never has his mind wiped. Why didn't R2-D2 tell Luke, hey, guess what? I know who your mom and dad are.
Again, this is what I mean, not connecting the dots. Just going with whatever you wrote the night before, and this is what it is.
That's why Owen and Beru didn't need to be in this movie. From Monty Python and the Search for the Holy Grail, they could have been not appearing in this movie.
Exactly.
And you're just doing fan service for fan service's purposes. They take off, and they go to Geonosis. Because they want to save Obi-Wan, which is perfectly fine. Which you would have thought that Anakin would have been the one to want to save Obi-Wan, but whatever. Then it comes to the most idiotic, ridiculous, I hate to use this word, but self-indulgent masturbatory scenes in this entire movie. And that's everything in the droid factory.
Like the droid
that's
factory.
Everything in the droid factory. Okay, we can forgive some of the stuff. And even some of the romance stuff I can even kind of look past.
Okay.
But then all of a sudden, this movie turns into a Mario video game. Playing dodgeball with all of these things in the droid factory.
Again, it reminds me of Galaxy Quest when they're going through those choppers and he's like, I don't know why these are even here. This was badly written.
It is so ignorant. There are so many ways that this could have been done that didn't require this self-indulgent, look what I can do with CGI bullshit.
But Ted still can give it 4 stars. Or 4 hooks.
It is so horrible. And that's just the stuff with Padme and Anakin. The cherry on top of this shit sandwich is the R2-D2 C-3PO stuff. R2-D2's an asshole. He pushes C-3PO out of the way, and then has the gall.
I believe I can fly.
Booster rockets. And then, because C-3PO gets knocked off and put onto the conveyor belt, then we have to deal with George Lucas's idea of what he thinks is funny. And what George Lucas thinks is funny, nobody in the entire world or in any galaxy world in the Star Wars universe thinks is funny.
I can see Ted turning red.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is so stupid. I can't
If you
even
ever meet George
stand
Lucas,
it.
you're going to punch him out.
To add insult to injury, C-3PO is there, and he says, I wonder what happened to that R2-D2. He's always getting into trouble.
Yes! You just met him!
Just met him. You've known him for maybe a couple hours. Maybe.
It's like George forgot about every other Star Wars movie ever written, and he's just like from scratch.
Do you remember
And
that
he's
these
the
are
creator.
prequels, not sequels? Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And he's the creator.
I know. The creator.
It's so stupid. And then the fact that C-3PO's head ends up on a battle droid, and a battle droid's head ends up on C-3PO's body. That is not funny.
It's not even Photoshop.
It's not funny. It's not funny at
Photoshop.
all. It's not needed.
There isn't anything
It is
funny
so
in this movie.
stupid.
There's not one funny line in this whole
And
darn
There
movie.
isn't. There really is no comic relief at all.
The only reason that those things happen is to set up the ridiculously stupid jokes
This is a
that
drag.
C-3PO's gives. This is a drag. I feel beside myself. Are you fucking kidding me? That is not funny. There are no
How did that
kids
go in the
that
theater?
find that funny.
How'd that go in the
What-
theater?
Like
Like
a
a
fart
Led
in
Zeppelin?
church.
Yeah.
Like a fart in church.
Kids laugh, but
It's
the parents were
horrible.
like, what?
It was horrible. And then when R2-D2 finally fixes him, which is even dumber, since everybody else has just left the arena and they leave the two of them behind, he goes, "Oh, I feel like I've just woke up from a dream." What is this, the fucking Wizard of Oz? Come on.
We got more stupid stuff on the way. So you capture
Yeah.
Obi-Wan and Anakin and Padme, and you don't kill them. You decide to do a Batman thing.
Oh, it's
where
no James Bond. It's Bond.
It's more James.
No, Mr. Bond.
Yes.
No,
No,
yeah,
Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Yes.
No, but they don't expect them to die. They give them a chance to win, to live.
Look,
And
Newt Gunray even says it. He even says a Bond villain line. Well, why don't you just shoot her?
Yeah, that's right.
maybe they're the
you
only funny things in this
can
movie.
sleep with
Because
my
they're-
mistress and fondue the world.
But because of this, it is boring and pathetic, especially with Padme. She has no Jedi power whatsoever, but for some reason she can last longer than some of the other Jedi that got killed. She
With
gets
a blaster.
you were just a blaster, so they're all
Right.
shooting at them and they're deflecting with their lightsabers, but she doesn't have one. But she's okay. The only thing that happens to her, she gets some a scrape on her back, which goes away later. We don't see that when she rolls down when she falls off the helicopter
God.
or whatever that thing is, the transport. And I know, Ted, you enjoy them their romance just before they're let out to doing that.
It's the only time they have chemistry in the whole movie.
But there wasn't chemistry up to then, so it doesn't make sense for her to fall in love with him.
Exactly.
After he just killed a bunch of children and women, she didn't blink an eye. She doubled down,
Turned her
Yeah.
on.
turned her on, probably.
Yeah.
Probably right. She should have
And
been
you know
scared
what?
of him after that.
Exactly. Had the droid factory scene not happened, them being captured and let out into the Colosseum, that's actually kind of cool. That's some ancient Rome shit. That's kind of neat. I'm on board. The 3 alien monsters, the designs are pretty cool. The Romans at least gave gave people a chance. They kind of just, the Geonosians kind of just tie them up. But against those poles.
First one to kind of like get herself free, which is,
and of
that's
course,
kind of stupid.
and of course they have to give Obi-Wan a stupid ass line to go along with that too.
And then she swings from the top and knocks.
But the swing isn't. But the technology is so bad. The swing is not consecutive. She starts off with momentum coming around, and then the momentum stops and then starts up again. You have to watch it really close, but that's how it operates. It's very clunky. It's very clunky.
Like the words in writing.
But let's just backtrack real quick. Okay, so you have Ewan McGregor and Christopher Lee in a scene together. Somebody has to tell Lucas, your dialogue fucking blows. Let these two go back and forth with each other and give their own dialogue.
Is this where he's got them like in that suspension mode? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty weak. Ewan McGregor is a great actor.
Christopher Lee, great actor.
Christopher Lee is unrivaled as far as being an amazing actor.
We need more vampires in this movie.
I'll tell you something about that. That's pretty funny when we talk about the fight between him and Yoda. But
Lee is the white card.
Well, okay, I'll tell it.
I know Christopher Lee was.
How they did it, because Yoda's of course CGI, and so
whoa.
Yeah, I know.
CGI.
Right. Big surprise.
Oh my goodness.
So the thing that they had on the ground that was portraying Yoda to Count Dooku to Christopher Lee looked like Yoda, but George Lucas put fangs on it.
Nice.
Like a vampire.
Nice.
And I guess Christopher Lee looked at Lucas and he goes, "Really? You're going to do me that way?" So, yeah, that's very funny. But you have these two great actors, and it just comes off clunky and so awkward.
I don't think it's that bad, because here's the Count Dooku is Dooku. He basically tells them that a Sith Lord ran things in the Senate. He told you who it is, and he's telling you he wants to take that guy out. It sounds like he's doing this for the betterment of the Jedi Order instead of way around.
Right. Here's the conundrum, and here again, something that Lucas didn't explain. Well, he did in the first movie, when Yoda says that with the Sith, there's always two. The way that works, and there's only two, because they're self-consumed by power. So the apprentice Sith has to kill the master. Is Dooku trying to get Obi-Wan to commit to the dark side, like what Vader does to Luke in Empire Strikes Back? Because he says that we can defeat them. Is Dooku planning his double cross of Palpatine?
I think so.
And trying to set himself up as the ultimate leader.
Yes,
and
I think so.
When I thought of that this past time, and I really hadn't given that much thought, but thinking about it now, that's what it seems like he's trying to do, which then sets up the fact that Palpatine tells Anakin in Revenge of the Sith, kill him.
Because he knows.
Right.
Because he knows he'll eventually try to kill him.
Yeah.
No,
and then he's already set it up
sense.
That way.
It's a simple, this is why I'm offering it to you. This is why you need to believe me. The fact is, even if you don't want to be on his side, the fact that he told you that the Sith was running the Senate, no clue whatsoever that could be Palpatine. You guys didn't even consider it for a moment.
Exactly, because that's supposed to be the big reveal in Revenge of the Sith, which is ridiculous because every goddamn fan that was in the goddamn theater knows who Palpatine and Sidious are, that they're the same goddamn person. When Mace Windu and Kit Fisto and all those guys that are in Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin tells them, hey, Palpatine's Darth Sidious, they act like, holy shit, really?
This is the first we've heard of it.
When here at the end of this movie, Anakin tells Mace Windu and Yoda that there's a Dark Lord of the Sith running the Senate. And Yoda immediately tells him, well, Count Dooku's just lying. Whatever.
And this is what I mean. Again, George Lucas taking someone like Yoda and making him kind of pathetic.
Stupid.
And maybe the Jedi Order are blind and everything, but then don't have Yoda on the board. If you've already made Yoda this Grand Master in the original trilogy, why put him in this situation?
So bad.
Why not have it be characters that we are not familiar with, that they're too confident that they don't see what's right in front of them? Don't put Yoda into that.
Right.
In fact,
I agree.
Have Yoda be someone that actually disagrees with the Jedi Council.
Right.
And then that elevates, and then he shows up in the Revenge of the Sith and tries to take care of business, but can't because, well, he's too old. He's too old at that particular time. It just makes more sense that way. But you made Yoda look incompetent. You made him look like the dark side is better because they're more powerful, they can do more, they can see more, and the light side doesn't know shit.
Well, they have better than
they're only going to win because they're good.
And this has been documented. What they were trying to go for was the fact that the Jedi had become fat, dumb, and lazy. That's what this is. And
that's okay.
They become way too self-assured.
And that's okay, but don't bring Yoda into it.
Right.
Save him for episode 3.
Don't sell your characters out.
You did it to Padme already, and now you've done it to Yoda. So you already sold your 2 important characters out already by the middle of the second film.
Now, on to some good things, but
there's some good things.
Still sprinkled with bad. The whole battle sequence between the droids and the clones, I actually think is pretty cool. If you watch it in the 4K transfer, it really pops. Where it fails is when the humans get involved. But everything else really pops.
Those dirty apes.
Because you can tell that Mace Windu and a couple of the other Jedi are running in front of a green screen. It's completely obvious. But everything else is really kind of cool. I love the explosions. I love all of that. I don't like the fact that Obi-Wan and Padme and Anakin are in one ship and then gets knocked out and she falls out, whatever.
And it causes whining again. The constant whining from Anakin. I haven't said how much I cannot stand this little boy's whining throughout the whole film.
Yeah, it's bad. But that whole battle sequence, I think, is really kind of cool. And I love the fact that all of the different weapons that are used, some of them are kind of weird, but I really like some of the droid weapons. I think they're kind of cool. The ball with the 2 big wheels, I think that's kind of neat. There's some really awesome stuff there. When they blow up one of the big starships and it lands and it creates the dust, and the clones and the droids are fighting back and forth through that dust cloud, that's really kind of cool.
Yeah, that's nice looking.
And even the Jedi sequence in the Colosseum, the lightsabers, everything kind of pops, and it really looks really good. It's when the humans get put in. I don't know.
Question for you here. So I just said about Anakin's whining about Padme falling off the transport. Why doesn't Obi-Wan say something to the council about this? Why doesn't he say, okay,
about her falling off the transport?
Yeah, me too. Well,
his
reaction to it. He knows that he's in love with her.
Or her reaction. With her. Or her reaction after the Count Dooku battle, when she runs up to him and is holding him when he has his arm cut off. And then they allow him and her to go back to Naboo for him to protect her again. You're exactly right. But here's the thing, and this is going to be a little weird because there's a lot of people, and I know Ken doesn't care for it, but there's a lot of people that hate on the lightsaber duel. I love Count Dooku's lightsaber. The whole fact that it's like a rapier type of a ancient.
I like it.
It's kind of like an old Persian type of sword.
Got a little tilt.
It's really cool. And
like
I
it.
love this whole sequence. I think the battle between Obi-Wan and Dooku and Anakin and Dooku, I love that we see, because it was alluded to that how advanced Anakin was as far as lightsaber duels go. He's able to use 2 lightsabers. And that's one of the only times we get to see somebody use 2 lightsabers. I think that's all cool. I'm even fine with him cutting Anakin's arm off.
Should have been his head.
I think though the only problem is we don't get enough of Anakin versus Dooku, and we don't get enough of the dual wielding lightsaber that he immediately loses one. I think that would have been something to change, but I do like the look on Christopher Lee's face when Yoda walks in, because Dooku's face kind of looks like, oh shit just got real. It shows how powerful Yoda is, even though we've just discussed how Lucas cuts his balls off. But his use of the Force, that he can absorb the Force lightning from Dooku, I think is amazing. I think it's awesome. I don't have a problem with them fighting lightsabers. It's cool. I'm sorry.
It's CGI. It's CGI.
It is, but it's still cool.
And
I
it's
still
like,
like. I
why
still
does
like
Yoda
the
need a
fact
freaking cane if he could fly around like there's no tomorrow? The German
Willy
judge gave him
Wonka.
a 9.8.
I like them. Did you notice him like getting off the transport? They had a little ramp for him with his little cane to get down. I'm like, come on.
And he's doing backward flips, frontward somersaults.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he's all over the place. Like I said, the German judge gave him a 9.8. I mean, come on. You don't give him a cane if he's able to do that.
It's a Willy Wonka thing.
But at the same time, it's not. Because
Yeah,
Willy Wonka was faking that he couldn't walk.
Well, is Yoda
after
faking?
this? Yes,
Is Yoda faking?
Yoda is not faking, because we see him using that
he's not
cane all the way
faking.
through Empire Strikes Back. You think he's faking in front of you, Luke? For whatever reason.
Know. Well, he's a lot older by then.
Not a lot older. I mean,
32 years.
32 years, but how old is he? Let's talk about that. 800 years old. 32 years. So I think the cane's real. I just think that they're just, it's Force time, so I guess we're going to forget that I don't have any kind of problems with my legs.
They should have had the cane turn into his lightsaber.
That would have been cool.
Yes.
Interesting.
As crazy as the droid factory and the whole sequence, the whole idea of Dooku getting on a speeder. Isn't his speeder really reminiscent of Flash Gordon?
A little bit.
I guess so.
Yeah, not to say it, yes.
It is. The effects are as horrible as Flash Gordon.
Yeah, they are.
It is disgustingly horrible. They should have been ashamed of themselves. That whole sequence of him flying on that speeder to get to his ship, that was disgusting. That is one of the worst CGI parts of the whole movie. And it's so Flash Gordon. All you needed was Queen in the background.
So I'm gonna go straight to the end here, because my last problem here of the movie, of course, is them ending this movie with them getting married on Naboo. I just can't stand it. This is not the way I want this movie to end.
Had it been done correctly, it would have been epic. Even their kiss at the end, there's no chemistry in that kiss. And they just got married. There's more chemistry in the kiss that they had in the Coliseum than they did when they got married.
Well, he just killed a bunch of people earlier, and so she's still on that high.
For him.
Total adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
She likes the bad boy.
Had it been done correctly, it's the Romeo and Juliet moment. And it reinforces the fact that love is what brings Anakin down to the dark side.
Somehow became the Gigi moment.
Here again, it's beautifully shot. It's undeniably beautiful.
And it's not CG, is it?
And it's not CG. It's
right.
None of it is. Yeah, it falls flat because it was so clunkily done all the way through.
Why change something if you've been clunkily through the whole movie? Why change it at the end now, right? Might as well finish off the way you started
because George doesn't know how humans interact and marry and love.
Well, he doesn't know how androids interact either, because he saw how that went too. So
it's because it is a beautiful moment where they get married, because we know they're Luke and Leia's mom and dad, so that it has to be there. It's getting to that point. There's so much potential That's the thing that's so maddeningly frustrating, is that the story is there and there's so much potential. And if you want to take these things, these parts of stories from posterity, and use them and put them into your universe, which I'm fully on board with because the first trilogy does it a lot, it has to be done right. And it's not. And that is the cardinal sin that just is maddening.
I can't wait till we talk about episode 3 and that she's pregnant and they don't know who the fucking father is. I can't wait to talk about that.
Oh yes. And
I can't wait.
But I have a theory as to how
Pregnant?
I have a theory as to why she dies that we'll discuss in episode 3.
She dies?
Because
That's a good teaser.
good
teaser. Yeah.
I think that the robots are wrong, because I think that there's something else going on here, again, not explained correctly.
What do you guys think? Time for our reviews?
Oh, I'm looking forward to this one. Let me kick it off, if you don't mind, gentlemen. So my review, I'm going to talk about Miss Christy Lemire of the Associated Press. Has a great line that I think really sums up this whole movie. Christy says, "It's still a rush to sit in a packed theater equipped with THX, naturally, when that first blast of John Williams fanfare sounds. Then you have to endure the rest of the movie. Or in this case, this movie, which we all had to endure." Wow, I think we've really ripped this movie to shreds, and I'm not going to go into any more detail about it because I think ultimately we all know where we're going to fall on this one. Of the 3 prequels, this is probably clearly the weakest, and I really, man, the only redeeming quality of this movie is it's Star Wars, and we'll leave it at there. I believe I gave Phantom Menace 2 stars. Yes? Yes. Ooh, boy, it's really, it's hard for me to give a movie below 2. This one is teetering between 1.5. Can we give a 3/4, Ken?
Sure.
All right, I'm going to give this one, sure as hell is not 2. I'm giving it 1 3/4, so 1.75 hooks. That's not good. What are your thoughts, Ken?
So I'm going to go with Stanley Kaufman of The New Republic. He's talking about George Lucas here. His characters, as is now his norm, are plastic puppets, even in the confectionery love scenes. Most of their dialogue is so doughy to be spooned into a comic strip balloon. Lucas simply has no interest in these people.
I love it when doughy puppets are making love.
I know. So the characters are just too blah for me. The love interest is just bad. I mean, the lines that are coming out of their mouth from beginning to end are not great. And I understand what Ken was saying about before they went into the arena, that scene. I could see that scene being a very good scene, but it needed build up to get there. And if your previous scene was Anakin killing a bunch of people, like when say people, I guess aliens. After that, them just trying to save Obi-Wan. That's where we get to the love for Anakin all of a sudden. It just doesn't make sense. You have trouble liking C-3PO and R2-D2. When you do that to the most beloved characters in the franchise, you have problems. When you are sick of hearing C-3PO talk, you have problems.
I am sick of hearing C-3PO talk.
Well, this movie especially.
Since day one.
Since
day one I have.
I've always liked C-3PO, but in this movie, it's not good. And as Ted stated, R2-D2 is given too many toys that we never see again or before. And it's like, why? It's to build up merchandising. And that's all that I think George Lucas is trying to get out of these movies. At least with the original Star Wars, he had a vision, and he cared about his vision so much that he let other directors take over to build on his vision. Here, he's just making money for merchandise, and he wants it all. And that's all this movie is for merchandise. The only saving grace here are Ian McGregor and Christopher Lee. And even them at times fall a little flat, as Ted said, that they could have had a better scene together. But they elevate parts of this movie to make it, I wouldn't say bearable, but see what the potential could have been if you had written some good stuff with some great actors. I'm going to stop my review there because I could talk about how bad this movie is for a while. But again, it's Star Wars, and I'm a Star Trek fan, and we say in Star Trek that even a bad Star Trek movie is a good movie. Same thing here. A bad Star Wars movie is still a good movie. You still want to watch bad Star Wars over something else that's mediocre or even good to a certain extent, because it's Star Wars. I'm almost going to fall into what Eric did here and kind of fall in between, because I want to give this a 2.5, but I gave The Phantom Menace a 2.5, and I feel like this is slightly below The Phantom Menace. And so I'm going to go with 2.25 and be a little weird here because I want to be a little bit lower than Phantom Menace. So that's where I'm going to go. 2.25 books for Attack of the Clones.
Okay, and to counterpoint something that Ken said, one of my famous quotes, it'll probably be on my grave, no Shatner, no Star Trek. Okay, Ted, what do you got? Where are you going with this one?
Okay, so the reviewer that I'm going to quote here is Roger Ebert. He says, Episode 2 Attack of the Clones is a technological exercise that lacks juice and delight. I agree with that 100%. I agree with Ken's reviewer as well. And I agree with Christy Lemire as well. The criminal part of this movie is that there's so much potential. This should have been the catalyst to move us into the fall of Anakin Skywalker. It didn't do what it was supposed to do. Now, there are parts of this movie that I really do like. I really like the Obi-Wan being an investigator and, going around and playing private detective and everything like that. I think that's really good. The romance part of this movie just doesn't equal up because for some reason Lucas doesn't know how humans interact and are with each other. One of the things, though, that I really didn't touch on, as far as the music goes in this movie, I love all of the music from Star Wars. I own all of them on CD.
Aren't they all John Williams?
They're all John Williams, yeah.
Okay.
This might be the best music in the entire catalog.
We should have had John Williams direct the movie, huh?
The score here is just absolutely phenomenal. It's really good. The Anakin Padme, the love theme, is one of the best love themes in the entire thing. You can't praise it enough. Too bad that some of it's wasted by Lucas in this movie. I have a hard time because I agree. Ken kind of stole my thunder a little bit, where a bad Star Wars movie is still better than other movies. This is one that when I watch the entire franchise, I don't always dread it, but I know that I'm going to be upset, and that's not good for somebody who loves Star Wars as much as I do. I will never watch this movie by itself, whereas I can watch each of the other movies individually by themselves. For that reason, and I'm actually kind of glad you guys were doing quarters and 3/4, because I was torn. For me, I believe I gave Phantom Menace 3.5. This is so much worse because the potential was even so much more with this movie. And I was so let down by this movie. This should have catapulted us to the end. And it didn't. So for me, it's a 2.75 hooks, 2 3/4. I can't give it 3. I can't get there because even the parts that I really do like, it doesn't make up for the sins. And the sins are so egregious here. It's very, very, very disappointing for me.
Okay, well, it looks like it's been disappointing for all of us. Let's hope Phantom Menace, or not Phantom Menace,
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith is a better movie, and that will be the one we will be looking at next time on Hooked on Movies, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Ted, where can they find us on the World Wide Web?
We can be found on Twitter at hookedon_movies. Come on over there. We've started to tweet a little bit more, just get a little bit of interaction with people. Tell us what you think of Attack of the Clones. If you like Attack of the Clones, tell us why you like Attack of the Clones.
Please.
I'm open.
We need
I'm
to
open
know.
I'm open to any of that sort of discussion. I'm not that jaded where I won't listen to other people's opinions if they like it.
I'm close. I'll listen.
And whatever podcast version you're listening to us on, whether it be Apple, Spotify, Good Pods, if you can, leave us a review. Hey, and if you can, write a review there as well. And tell us what you think of Attack of the Clones there. Ken, what's going on Facebook?
Well, join us on our Facebook page on Hooked on Movies. We talk about movies just like we do here on our podcast. We play trailers, sometimes clips of movies. We actually also look at what's going on in Hollywood, what actors doing what. And if there's a movie that you're interested in, feel free to chime in on our Facebook page to let us know what you would like us to review down the road.
Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of Hooked on Movies, the podcast. Join us next episode for, of course, episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. We're looking forward to looking at that one. And as always, Ken, Ted, love means never having to say you're sorry.
See you next time at Hooked on Movies.
Bye, everybody.
I hate sand.